So here's an update on the pallet pond that I built for my ranchu living inside my shed. If you want to see that, there's a previous video where I built a pond for basically about £100 that's plumbed into my existing DIY pond, and it's just for me to keep ranchu in, so they're kind of out the frost and I can observe them in the winter. And that's what I was doing, so I ended up looking at them. There's obviously top view ranchu, we can see here, so the flow's off at the moment in the pond. I did keep it quite bare, the pond, as well, to make sure they didn't hurt themselves. This is one of my favourite fish here. It's got a jade seal. Absolutely love that top view ranchu. So last time I managed to do a little bit of an update, and my pond, I said the pond actually was finished. Then there's a little bit more I might do in terms of adding some more wood around the edges. We'll see, but I installed this strainer here so that I could actually add the fish, and there's an overflow pipe as well, just in case that ever gets blocked for any reason. I just like having that redundancy there. So everything was ticking along nicely. Viewing the ranchu from the top, all looked good, but then, well, I started to notice some patterns, some red, and turning over the fish, so not looking at them from the top, I could see what to me were ulcers, and I was absolutely gutted. You know, this was filmed only a few weeks, or maybe even a couple of weeks, 1 or 2 weeks really, after I got these after I got these, and I was absolutely gutted. And it seemed to happen to all 3 of my newer top view ranchu. Some of them on their fins, mainly on their pectoral fins. They just seemed to have the reddening of the fins and ulcers, and I was absolutely gutted. Some of them worse than others. You can see how bad it was. I thought it could spread. I didn't know what to do really, basically. And it was annoying because it was only on those kind of new fish. So here's the original ranchu that were in the pond. They didn't have those ulcers at all. I checked them both. You can see underneath there, no reddening of the fins at all. And this was another one that I'd had for a while. It was just only on those new ones, and I couldn't put it down to anything apart from maybe there was a change in temperature, the shock of being in a new system, change of temperature. Anyway, absolutely gutted to say the least. So I did a massive water change is what I did, because that's what I tend to always think is the best thing to do. It could be something to do with nutrients in the water. I also ran to the shop, and the only thing I could find that I thought would help on the day, I wanted to do something immediately on that day, was this treatment called Ulcers and Parasites, and by Bermuda. And I hadn't heard of that brand before, but I looked at the kind of how to dose it. I looked at what it said on the back, and it said things like, you know, sores appear on the fish's skin, reddening of fins and skin, and it was kind of that was kind of what I was seeing. So I thought, it's not going to hurt them. I'm going to give it a go. So bacterial infections, ulcers, dropsy. I didn't see any signs of dropsy. I've treated that before, but I thought it was worth giving this a go. So that was that treatment there. If anyone's used it or had any success, let me know in the comments below, because it was useful to find out what others think, really. So I mixed up the right amount, dosed it partly into the inside pond, but then I also dosed it into the outside pond as well, because I wanted to just spread it around and not just dump it all in one place, really. It will be treating all the fish, which in the end, I don't think that's a bad thing. So just spreading that across the surface of the water, as it said on the instructions. Now, I wanted to do something quick. That's why I went and did that. But also, on Amazon Prime, I made sure to order some treatment that I thought would work, because I had used some of this treatment in the past before. So I got API aquarium salt, along with methylene blue. Got some, and this is the calculation that I looked at. So 10 litres of water, 1.1 millilitres of methylene blue. So I filled up the bucket to 10 litres, and poured that in another container. You'll see that in a minute. But I also looked at this one. So this was for the aquarium salt, 1 rounded tablespoon for every 5 gallons. So I did half, because that was roughly about what I needed, half of a tablespoon. And I have seen this have great success before, the methylene blue. So I got myself 1.1 millilitres and popped it in the tank, in the box that I was going to use. So this is another tub I had lying around, and you can see how it has this dye in it, obviously. So it's going to hopefully start to cure this problem. I was absolutely gutted, if I'm honest with you. So mixing that around, making sure it's spread. What you do not want to do is dose this into your actual aquarium or your pond, because it will kill the bacteria in your filter. It's basically going to kill harmful bacteria as well as the good bacteria as well. So we ended up with a nice bucket there, full of the solution, and I wanted to go through each day really as I started treating it. So day 1 of the treatment, I obviously made that bucket up and I got the fish out. This is the day after I'd noticed that the fins were like that, the pectoral fins on the fish. Now, I wanted to treat the fish, all of the 3 fish the new fish I'd bought. Potentially I could have treated the other fish as well, but I decided just to treat the 3 new fish for now. The others weren't showing any signs. I hoped it hadn't spread. If it was something that was on the fish, I had no idea. So pop them all one by one into the blue solution, and you'd have to look up, I can't remember the exact amount of time, it might be on that screenshot I had before, but if you look that up you can find the amount of time. I think I had them in there for around 20 minutes, was around that, but don't hold me to that, it's worth looking that up. But I've carefully netted each fish, and I tend to get the net just to bring them to the surface, and then I use my hand to actually move the fish, because I can be a bit more gentle. The net is a very fine net anyway, so chances of them getting anything caught in there is quite low. But you can see on that particular fish there, the reddening on the back of the fin is really not nice, and yeah, there's something I wanted to sort out. So gradually put all the fish in there. You can see my very messy toolbox there, and that was the final one of those 3. I mean, absolutely lovely fish. I'm really pleased that I bought them. It was just this problem here, which I can't think of. Maybe it was caused by, I know that people say bacteria is dormant in fish sometimes, and it was the fact that they'd moved into a colder environment, a new environment, whatever it was, it had flared up. So the fish spent some time in there, 20 minutes or so. Best to check that yourself, 20 minutes or so. And that was obviously day 1 of the treatment. So I just observed them, made sure there was no heavy breathing. And at this point, that was the salt and methylene blue mix that you just saw. So methylene blue and salt bath. And the idea behind the salt, I believe, is to potentially produce some more mucus on the fish. Potentially they can get rid of some the bacteria, and then the bacteria might be killed by the methylene blue as well. Okay, so you can see the fish there. I also wanted to take a swab, and I've seen this done before, and I wanted to directly target those fish. So day 2 of treatment really was involved that targeting the fish with that treatment. You can see here how I get a cotton swab. I'm not very good at recording that because it's just, basically it's me and my shed. So I take the cotton swab, dip it in the methylene blue, a fresh cotton swab every time, and put that on the fish. I tend to, if you leave the fish out for a few seconds, it tends to kind of stay on the surface of the fish for a bit better. And then I put them back in the methylene blue solution before they do that 20-minute or so salt bath with the methylene blue in the water as well. So they've kind of got it directly on the fish, on the sore, as well as in the solution as well. So day 3, after that, I'd spent some time treating them, and day 3 involved really the same thing again. So another bath. Also did the application with the cotton swabs on the fish, on the sores themselves, and again there is the API salt in that water as well. So the fish were fine. They look a bit still there. I think it's just cold in the water, but I did make sure I kept an eye on them. They weren't in there too long. I felt if there was a lot of fish, I would have added an air stone. You can see there how the blue solution has stuck to the sore. Fingers crossed. I really wanted these fish to pull through. They're hopefully going to become part of the breeding stock for next year. But yeah, water's very cold, you can tell that. And I mean, if you've ever used methylene blue before, it gets everywhere. If you get it in your hand, it is going to stay there. So be aware. I'd wear gloves if I was you. Day 4 of treatment. So I treated them again, and this time I wanted to show you the progress that they'd made. So if we have a look at one of the fish here, we can see that, I mean, I can tell myself that I think that does look like it's healing. It's difficult to actually tell whether that's healing because I'm not comparing it to another video. But if you'd think from before, the reddening, in my opinion, has gone down. I'll show you another one in a minute. It's more obvious on some other fish. So sometimes, especially when that temperature drops, the fish are a little bit lifeless in the water, which I knew that was quite normal behaviour really. It didn't have anything to do with what I'd been showing you in terms of the ulcers. So this fish here, again, you can see on its fin, they're still reddening there 100%, but I think it's gone down, and I didn't want to mess around with them too much, cause them stress. And this one as well, I think that shows quite clearly that it's starting to heal. It was really red in one of those original images. So this treatment of salt, methylene blue on a daily basis seems to be doing some some work really. So 5 days after the treatment then, I wanted to show you the progress again. And this is the whitefish that we just saw. This is 5 days after the treatment. And that is a dramatic improvement in my opinion. The reddening has gone there. There's still signs of it, but it's nowhere near what it was before. And on the fins as well. A little bit there on that side. But, I was starting to think, I've done it. This is exactly what I wanted to see. The fish are looking really good again. I say really good, then I show you that one. But it's still better, definitely still better. It's hard to hold them not flapping around. That was probably the worst one, the one that didn't improve as much at that particular point. Yeah, they're not always, they didn't all show the same reaction to it, but most of them looked a lot better. And then the last one, I believe I'll show you the last one. Oh, that might have been it for that one. Okay, so then basically the other fish I wanted to show you, they were all doing fine. I did check and they didn't have reddenings, my favourite male there. They all seemed a little bit, less movement going on. The temperature had really dropped now, but there wasn't that going on with the other fish. So, right, so 1 week, 7 days after I'd started that treatment, I guess 8 days since I'd first seen it, I did dose the other ulcer and bacteria, the Bermuda, at one point, I believe, throughout this process. But here is the whitefish where you can see it more clearly, I believe, and that looks pretty good to me. You can see that there, how it really has made a massive improvement to what it looked like before. I should have put a before and after, really. You have to go back to the beginning of the video to see that, but that fish has definitely improved. The final fish, 1 week after, the other fish, 1 week after, and it is improved as well. There's still a massive noticeable difference, I think, in my opinion, on the fin. So you can, this stuff, methylene blue, the salt, combined together, looks like it's doing the job. I was worried they were going to go completely downhill and I was going to end up losing them, but I seem to have, touch wood, managed to fix this a little bit, and there's another shot there you can see. So potentially crisis averted. I mean, I have to wait and see. I'll do some more videos about how they look in the future. I'm not going to say we're completely out of the woods, but there is some improvement there. I took the time, I spent a little bit of money, not a lot, on these treatments in order to try and get these fish back to their full health, and I think that everyone's looking a little bit more happy in that pond again. So water off, time for some food. Water back on, sorry, after some food. And really, if you want to see how these fish do, whether this treatment's worked really well, feel free to subscribe along. Seeing the people comment and subscribe and stuff helps me want to make some more videos. So yeah, thanks for watching.